Well, hello everybody. As you saw, this is the last one of this series. Why have I decided to finish it here? Watch at the end and I'll explain and say what I think about iTrains really. So as you can see, these are all being controlled by the computer, and I must admit I'm quite happy really. So in this last episode we're going to see how I managed to get that point working. That was a problem at the end of the last one. We're going to have a look under the layout and see what I'm doing under there, and then as I said, I'll see you at the end and explain what I thought was going on. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to running my railway using iTrains. It's not perfect, I don't think any system is, but I've really enjoyed most of the time sorting it out and getting it to work. So at the end of this I'm going to just show you how I ran this train with the diesel at the back, and how they work really well. I'll show you what we do in our trains to do that. I'm just going to let you see the trains now till the end in the silence. So just a little bit on how I'm controlling these. As you can see now, I've got 4 trains here, but it's very easy to get from the train to the locomotive. And there's the H1, and as you can see, there's all the sounds that you can use. So this is the whistle on the platform and so forth, and the sound obviously like that. And then you just click back to the thing, and then you can set it off by just clicking that button, or stop it if you need to when it derails, which it does sometimes. So we'll now go into the actual trains, and I'll show you how I've set up this train with the thing. So if we go to the composition, So we've got the locomotive at the front, Portland, but at the back we've got the class 47, and if you notice I've set it to go backwards, and that's all you do. The actual running was, I didn't have to do anything. If we have a look at the actual locomotive tab, so where we are at the locomotive tabs, and this has got the Portland built up, and you just have a look at the graph to the right hand side, and you can see the shape of what it produced when I did it down in the dining room. So we'll now go to the one for the 47. So here's the one for the 47. As you notice, if you remember the graph from the last one, they're very, very similar. Now their top speeds are set differently. Portland builds about 63 or so, and the 47's about 83. But nevertheless, because the graph is similar, they seem to run very well. So, and obviously, if you're doing 30, they're both doing 30 because it's done through that testing. So, great stuff. So everybody, we've got a bit of a prepped last video on this series, haven't we? So we'll start with the problem from the last one, where a running session went very well until this point decided not to cooperate. And have I got it working right? Yes, I have. So we'll have a little bit on what I did to get it to work. So what you're looking at now is my train routes, and I thought I'd make little train routes up to try and test things. And in hindsight, I think I should have done this first, but what I actually did was I first of all changed the point motor to that point in case that was faulty. It was fine. And then I changed which decoder it used to switch it. And to be honest, none of them worked. So there's a lot of work for no gain. So there we are. So I then resorted to this, and as you can see here, we've got just a test track. And what it's actually going to do is run a engine, in this case a 4MT tank, from Roberts Halt Station, which is, if I turn over a bit, you can see it just by the station there, and set it running, and it'll take it into the terminal station, and obviously it will then need to use that point. And my thinking on this was, were all the points from the sidings causing problems? And yes, they were. So let's just show you this one, and I'll follow it around. So I'm just about to click the button to get this to work, and I'm hoping that this point will change, but it may well not. See. If it doesn't, we'll start again. And yes, it did. So as you saw, I set it off and that point changed, which is what it wasn't doing before. So I'll now do it, and we'll follow the engine around, and hopefully in the background you can hear the points clicking. So it might be a good idea to slow this engine down a bit when it comes into this. I couldn't keep up with it. But as you can see, it's gone over the point, no problem, which is what it was meant to do in the last video. And it's going to come to a halt fairly near to the end of the platform. Now I'm quite pleased that these have worked into the stop positions I've done. Now I'm not sure they're absolutely accurate, but they're in the ballpark.
and that's all I really need. So hopefully that's now finished. So what do I do now? I'll set up another route and we'll follow that to the next destination. So that first route was called check-in 1, and we're now going to do check-in 2. So I'll hit the button, hopefully we'll hear some points change, and we'll follow the 4MT around. So where's she going to go this time? So slow down here because that's the speed I've set. Should speed up a bit now. There we go. Maybe a bit quick. Came back to Wakey Cave. I'm hoping I can see her through all the stuff in the way. But if you notice, she's going over out to the middle track. Following it round, you can hear the points changing back, which is what I've asked them to do. So what's going to happen? There we are. So that little session was just to Valentine's Junction Station and to stop. And that's what I worked out, that what I was trying to do at the beginning was too complicated, too many sessions, too many operations. So how did we get this point to work properly, even as you'll see in a minute with that original running? So now we're on the page for that point that was causing the problem, and if I use the cursor, so this piece here that you can see that you can adjust, and it's up at 1000 milliseconds. Now it sounds a lot, but you know, a millisecond is a very short amount of time. All the points that I've set so far were at 0, so in other words they'd fire instantaneously or as quickly as the system would do. And by making these different, you give the system time to repower itself, shall we say, the simplest way. And the reason that point wasn't going, although it tried to go, it just ran out of juice. There also was a bit of a problem with the motors, how it was fixed and everything, which they are a little bit temperamental, the Hornby point motors, I would say. But yeah, but it was because they were all trying to fire at once. So by staggering them, in essence, we overcame it. So I'm quite pleased with that. So these routes are very useful. If you get one route to finish where another one starts, or even on part of where another one runs, you can just switch between and get them all running automatically all the time, as you can see here. Now this is just on what you saw in the last video, which was the roundy on the middle track. So I just switched it where it had stopped and switched it to that and set it off. But sometimes you can't do that. So what I'm learning now is, at the beginning you saw instant routes, especially down on the table downstairs. And I use those. I just click between those places as you've seen. Please look back at other videos if you'd like to know what it entailed. And that gets you where you want the engine to be, rather than taking it off and having to put it back on again. So in the next bit, after you've seen this complete the original trick it tried to do, I'm going to put some longer trains on here and sort of see how they run. And I'm also, because some viewers say, oh, I don't want to do this because I want to run my trains manually, I will manually run some of the trains. You can do that, it's not a problem. So I'm sure you're getting rather giddy following this engine around now. We'll go and see it doing this little trip that it's got to do, and then we'll go to bigger trains hopefully.
So I've not filmed all this in one big bit, but as you can see I've got all the points set against where they need to be, and we're going to do a little running session really with different shots. So you heard some of the points go, not all of them. But hey presto, it went, that point had changed. I didn't need to use my fingers. So as a train normally would do, it comes in very cautiously to a terminal station. Don't want to be thundering up to the end, do we? And as I said earlier, I'm quite happy how these are stopping. There's only one sensor, remember, in each block. And, you know, they're working reasonably well. They're all different. All the engines stop in different places. Now you can see that point's set back again. So for this to come back out, it needs to change. Have to see if it has, won't we? But to be honest, I never had a problem this way. It was always the other way, basically because so many points were changing at the same time. There we are. And will it get back to where it started from? Yep, they're all set. And I am asking all these points to reset to where they're meant to be. And there we are. Can't be bad, can it? So I'm just going to show you this, a bit of this again. And if you thought it was all plain sailing with these systems and it all works perfectly, no it doesn't. As you'll see with this, I was having awful problems. First, what happens at the end of this was happening, and then the point wasn't changing right, and that was the point motor not being right. Look at this. Oh dear.
And I thought, just to finish, another view under the layout. And I think I've got even more wires now because I've obviously redone all these decoder boxes. Well everybody, I've just shown you that bit of film from the last video of what it was like under the layout. And as I said at the beginning, we're going to have a look underneath and see what I've been up to under there. But let's just start on the top here. And if you remember, we used to have a light here, didn't we? And as I said earlier, that's now moved over to there, look, right at the end of the platform. And as you can see, we've got a platform. And we've got the other platform, haven't we? Where the HST is. So we've got two platforms down there. Why did I do this? Because I've not finished, have I? But what I have done is I've relayed all the track there near enough. It's new track, it's fairly straight. And I thought I'd better check that the trains don't hit. And it looks so much better with a station, especially for filming, doesn't it? So let's now go underneath and I'll show you what I've done. So I think this is near enough the same sort of view that we had last time. And I think what you can notice is mostly the lack of wires hanging down. So let's go underneath and I'll just show you a little bit of what I've done. So although my wiring is never ever going to be neat and tidy, what I don't like is, as you can see down this end that I've not done anything to yet, all the wires hanging down. You get your head caught on it, you get your arms caught on it, and you're more likely to pull cables and connections out. So if I just spin round, as you can see, I've used the little eyes. I've screwed up the connection blocks. So by having all this done, it means I can go about underneath here without a reasonable chance, or with a reasonable chance of not pulling any cables out, which could be a bit of a nightmare, couldn't it? So quite happy that I've done this, and I just do a little bit at a time because it does my shoulders in. But I'm pleased to be starting to tidy this up.
all ready for doing the next bit of upgrade work. So let's go and have a look at the trains now, shall we?
So as you can see, I've now got the train set to manual, and I've also got the locos there as well for doing the sounds and everything if I want to do it. So it's just very similar to Master. So this looks familiar. Now what I did notice is I changed the signal to green for it. It did actually go back automatically, which I was surprised about. So it's still looking after you a little bit. And the train is still made up as a train, and I'm controlling it as a train, which is why the 47 is behaving perfectly well. So watch that bit again from further away. I think what you'll notice is that I do a better job of getting it off gently, don't I? It doesn't sort of start and then sort of accelerate very, very quickly. But this can all be adjusted in the automatic, you know, with settings and so forth. It's just a lot of tweaking, really, which I always expected to have to do. And after all, it's a very short layout, isn't it? You know, I want to get on a bit. I'll just follow it around. Now it's a lot harder filming when you're controlling it manually, which is why you tend to just let the trains run round and round. You know, to try and keep stopping them at the platform and, you know, changing the lights and everything. You know, it's hard work, isn't it? I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm sure it can, but yeah. So you can see on this one, I didn't change the light, and it's at red, which you know, or lady. So I thought I'd do a little bit with the cube camera, just showing what it's like. So the horns and everything, the whistles, I did those manually, but eventually you'll be able to incorporate them into iTrain so it does it automatically where you want it to. Just haven't got around to doing that yet. So this is under automatic control, just to see what it's like under automatic control from the track. So as you just heard, this is with it being run by the computer, and I just watched it all go around. Now, yes, I agree it's all a bit too quick. This is again down to settings of the track or the train or the engine or whatever. Lots of variables. But as you can see, it comes to a halt. I think all the passengers will be at one end, but never mind. You know, it works. And it slows down where I've asked it to and speeds up where I've said it can. I did it from the rear of the train. I couldn't actually do it on the H1 because it didn't have any couplings at each end. But it's so much nicer, I think, with the platform now, clad when I can get the other one. But it wasn't worth putting that on because I do need to do work on all those tracks to the right, don't I? And I noticed a kink in this bit of track, so I've actually engineered that out upstairs. So these cube cameras on the track are very useful to seeing bad bits of track really, or you know, not so good as it could be. And you always must have a station where the train will stop 100% of the time, which is why they keep stopping at one or the other.
Well everybody, I hope you're pleased that we're now coming to the end of this video. Packed a good bit in, I hope you've enjoyed it. And really what you're going to see now is a culmination of everything I've done over the how many months it is. I must say I am pretty happy with the outcome of where I am at the moment. So I just want to show you what this is going to be. This is going to be an automatic running, and it's not about the amount of trains, it's about the control that the computer or iTrains gives over your railway. So in the overnight sidings for the little 121, this wants to go and do its trip for the day, and I'm going to, if I follow the camera around, I'm going to send it down the inside track, over the crossing here, round to Valentine's Junction, where it will stop, albeit all the way down here because I still haven't got quite the stops right. It will wait for a couple of seconds and then it will come back the way it's come and carry on around the outside track, and then it will just do what it can on that. The 47, which has done sterling work helping out the H1 on its train, is now at the front of the train with the same carriages, and these are my full rake. I've only got 5 of these Mark 1s, so the full rake, which is what I wanted to sort out, isn't it? So there we are. So that will just basically go round, set to go round the inner track like you've seen before at the beginning, and stop at the stations and so forth. So that's straightforward enough. Now we've got the HST in, as you can see. If you can't, it's all the way down there. And this again is my full HST rake. So 7 carriages, or 7 wagons, whichever you want to do. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to send it out onto the inner track, out into this inner track. It will then make its way down here and go across this crossing and then proceed round the outer track. So I hope you've got that. I'll ask questions at the end. Just before we begin this, the Ginty wasn't very well, was it? Well, I've had it apart a few times, and it's definitely a pickup that's not picking up, but it is hitting against the wheel. So my only assumption is that the pickup itself is not transmitting power. So I don't quite know, besides buying a new pickup, and I'm not sure you can with these, I might try and put a very fine wire and bypass maybe where the brake is. I don't know. But it does run, it's, you know, especially all right backwards. So I'm going to set all these to go at the same time, and the program will decide when to let them actually go. So we'll see how we get on. I'll have the overhead camera on so you can see it on that, and I will try and record some of it handheld on this camera. And I will also have all the sounds on, although hopefully I might mute them a bit in the editing. So we'll see. So are we ready for this?
As you can see, the HST is stopping at this station every time because it's told to do that. And this one can stop sometimes at that one and always will stop at this one, as you have to do. So although the 121 is set to go, the system is not letting it go yet until it finds an opportune moment, which is about now, because the HST is out the way and so is the Class 47, and it gives it a free rein to run along here. Let's watch it, shall we? Now you might notice that the sound is really out of sync with what the rail car is doing, and that's down to where the decoder is set. Now this is a next 18 decoder in this, and it doesn't seem to like having a very low setting on it, especially braking, which is where I have it low so that it does stop where you want it to. But hey ho, hopefully I might be able to sort that out. So. So after the trains had done their initial run, the HST and the 121, I then switched on them to another program. So once they stopped at the station and they were going to finish there, I then gave them another thing, which is why the HST sat about for a little while. And basically they would now just go round and round, stopping and starting as directed, for as long as I leave it on. So yeah, great fun. And I do find it so much easier to photograph them, I must admit. Just let them get on with what they're going to do. Great. So with it all running, I thought I'd throw a spanner in the works by getting the 08 shunter to go into the terminal station, as though it was going to pick up some rolling stock perhaps. Although I can't do that yet, because as you'll see, it goes right to the end of the platform. And if there were carriages in the way, it would just bang into them at the moment. Again, it's down to doing what you need to do, you know. And as you can see, this point worked perfectly well this time. Great. Pleased about that now. So here we are at the overhead camera, and I'll just show you the sort of the changing tracks and so forth with a little bit of running after. I find it quite nice looking down on the layout and seeing all these work. I don't know what you think. I suppose it could be boring, but yeah, especially having seen what I needed to do to get them to do it, you know. So as you can see, it's taking iTrains quite a long time to decide it's safe to let out the 121. The class 47. And it also needed the HST in the right place. And now it's decided it's fine. It's letting the 121 come out onto the main line. As you can see, it's set the points to go across onto the middle track, and hopefully we'll just about see it stop in Valentine's Junction. Yes, just about. And this is where it reverses, which I think is magical. And as you can see, the Class 47 is going on its way now, with everything has been set back for it to carry on. Now, how would you like to try and control this little bit of train set manually and do all that we're doing? I suspect not many of you would. Well, not unless you had 3 or 4 people operating it. Now, you notice that the trains stop very close to each other, i.e. the 121 will stop almost seeing the back of the HS2, or even the HST. And this is because it's such a short layout. On a proper layout, you'd probably allow 1 block between them, but I've allowed it to do this, which you can do. So I could make it wait for 2 blocks, but I think it wouldn't go anywhere, to be honest, if I did that. So I hope you've enjoyed this bit. We're now going to go to me on the sofa, and I'll just do my 10 worth of telling you what I think.
Well, everybody, time for a cup of tea, although it is actually a bit early. It's only 9:30, not 10 in the morning, on the 24th of March 2022. And we have come to the end of this series, or these 2 series really. And I must admit, it's been a long road to get where I am. So I'm just going to have another swig of this. And I'll put it down. I don't know what you thought of what you saw at the end here with the auto running. Now, you know, no way is it perfect. They accelerate far too quickly, they brake far too quickly, they don't quite stop in the right place, although, to be honest, none of them hit each other, did they, or anything like that. Quite impressed that the lights work automatically, with nothing more than putting them on the layout, really, in the computer. I didn't do anything except, you know, obviously instigate them. And it's not perfect, no, it isn't. Sometimes everything that the people that have helped me with this have said is if you need reliable points. And you know, I run Hornby point motors and Hornby digital control boxes. Maybe not the best process, but near and far they've worked. And I really enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. Even just putting the routes into the computer, which I was doing last night for one of these, and making the trains up. You know, you actually have to make the train up in the computer, otherwise it won't work. It's great. That isn't to say you can't run a train that you just put together and run it manually, as you saw in this video. The fact that I used what I already had on is laziness, isn't it? So what do I think? I think the system works for me. It might not work for everybody. And I think there's a consensus of opinion that maybe Train Controller is the better system to have. But with my, you know, train set, this does seem to be working, and as I've said, I really enjoy watching them go round and stop and start. Now obviously it's a very small bit of track that I've got set up at the moment, so you might wonder why I'm going to finish this series now and not when I've got the whole thing done. Well, To be honest, it's not done particularly well in the viewing stakes. I do appreciate all the 200 or 300 people that have watched it nearly every week and commented, and obviously all the help I've had from Alan and any other people, and I do really thank you. But basically, it's now just I want to get that outer track done. And some of the other bits, and then it's to get the sidings and everything done, and the you know, all the storage areas working, and you know, I can see loads of different routes that you can do and scenarios that you can play out, and I'm really looking forward to it. I really am. If you're of the old school and like a dial to turn and think on DC, that is fine. That is part of the hobby. You know, that's a big part of the hobby. It's simple. You just plug it in. Do I not like Railmaster anymore? Not at all. Railmaster has got some things going, namely cheapness, and it works. It does work. And some bits are better. Actually changing the points and the signals on Railmaster is easier than it is on iTrains, because the symbols in iTrains are so small. Obviously, if I had a big TV monitor with it all on and I could touch screen it or do a mouse on it, then that would be easier because they'd be bigger. But it does work, but it's more fiddly, I would say, to do it manually. I'm far happier to have an HST running around my layout, and I was really impressed that it would work full length. Now, what I had to do to get it to do that was, in some places, to link the two blocks together, so that it would accept the train in the two blocks. And I've done the same on the outer track where we've got the point in the middle of the station, and hopefully that will work. So I'm rambling on as usual, and I'm getting thirsty, so I want to finish my tea. So any comments, I really would like your comments on, you know, do you like it? Would you, if you wanted to, do it? And do you think it's worth all the effort I put in to get it to here? I would like to know. And obviously there's now going to be a bit of a break while really I get on and do those other tracks. Okay, everybody? So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the subscribers that seem to come on and go off and then come on again and go off and come on. But yeah, it's creeping up. It's creeping up. So I'm happy. So let's hope all the problems in the world get sorted, some one way or the other. It's not looking good, is it? It's not looking good at all. So watch out for my next video, whenever that might be. Don't know. We'll see. All right, everybody. Bye bye.